What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the overall market moving forward, what's going on with other factors involving the markets, what you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I break it the doubles information, before I talk about what's happening with the data and all the different charts out there, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500, you are guaranteed 20 free stocks. If you deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 of them. And the offer ends very soon, just 3 weeks. Anyways, when it comes to the way the market was moving, we had a very, very crazy day on Friday. The market basically saw a little pump in the morning, then it dumped really hard after we got the PCE data report. And after getting a dump all the way down to 518, we actually ended up seeing SPY get a very, very big bounce, especially during the last couple of hours, and managed to pump all the way up to about 528. That's a 10-point pump within just a couple of hours. And the number one point I've been making over the weekend was the fact that it took the bears like 3 to 4 days to get us all the way down from the 530 area all the way down to about this 518 zone. It took them a couple of days, and it took the bulls just a couple of hours to push the market right back up. So it really shows who is in control. There's a lot of bullish momentum now building right here, and overall the bulls have been winning, and there's no sign of their defeats just yet. Nothing close to that. If anything, they were just taking a little break before they got ready to buy up the markets again. So to me, the charts look very, very bullish for SPY, the QQQ, and the others. I went over this over the weekend by looking at the bigger time frames. I'm going to first talk about some data and how it could affect the market before I break down more details. I first want to mention that tomorrow is going to be Monday, June 3rd, 2024. 15 minutes after the market opens, we have the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI coming out. And then 30 minutes after market open at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the ISM Manufacturing PMI, the ISM Manufacturing New Orders. That's going to be very important for inflationary data. It's actually very forward-looking data. And we also have the manufacturing prices coming out. So all this data may cause some volatility. Watch for that for the first 15 and 30 minutes of market open. And after that, we're just going to be very, very patient with everything else. But for now, I believe that with everything coming out, I think that the data that's coming out may cause some moves here and there, but it's not really enough to really stop the markets. I still think the market has a lot of potential to continue with all this momentum building, and I still favor upside at least going forward. Now, when it comes to the earnings calendar, this is what things are looking like so far. We have GitLab announcing its earnings after the market closes tomorrow. For Tuesday, we just have a few others like Bath and Body Works. For Wednesday, we have Dollar Tree, not to mention very, very minor ones such as ChargePoint. And then Thursdays, when we have bigger earnings such as Neo, Big Lots, Toro, and just a few others. Very minor earnings nonetheless, though. Nothing is so crazy. Nothing is as big as something like an Aapl earnings or Nvda earnings. Nothing's like that for the week, so it's all very minor. I will be paying attention to some of them, such as like Neo. And then for the fear and greed index, right now things are kind of neutral, kind of in the middle, not too fearful, not too greedy. But I think that this is going to start shifting more towards greed as the market gets bought up more. Looking at market momentum right now, greed is making up the majority of sentiment. Looking down here, you guys can see the puts and call option positioning is neutral. This is very important because right now we're not, we're not really seeing as many of these put buyers. We saw a lot of them coming in. A lot of people started to just rebuy those puts, and now they're starting to close them once again as shorts are getting squeezed. And we're starting to see a big shift right now in the current sentiment. And then lastly, the VIX is getting a big rejection off its 50 daily moving average. This rejection right here is showing signs that the VIX is weak. And I think that there's more gaps to fill below, so the VIX will likely drop lower because the market has more upside potential, in my personal opinion. That's it for the fear and greed index. Besides that, let's now just talk about the charts. So I just want to make it very clear. We look bullish, straight up bullish. The 4 hour is very strong on SPY. So are the daily timeframes and a bunch of others. If we look at the daily has a very bullish looking candlestick on SPY. Same thing on the QQQ. Very, very bullish looking candlestick here. We were starting to turn, but now we're trying to hold our 20 EMA and we're trying to rebound. And we're seeing something very similar throughout the markets. Now, maybe the QQQ isn't as strong as SPY, but we are starting to see enough buyers stepping in to really defend tech in all these different sectors. So I think we're going to be completely fine for the month of June. I do anticipate more potential upside. So moving forward, what do I see for SPY? My personal opinion is upside. We look very bullish on the daily time frame. And on the 4 hour, we're getting a bullish cross in the PPO right here. And we have a gap to fill all the way up in the 530 area, the 530 area. So I think tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if we fill this gap. We go all the way to at least 530. We'll see if we break that or not. Just know that historically, SPY does have some tough resistance at 530 to 534, but I personally believe that SPY will go all the way up to the all-time high during this next push. It could happen as soon as this week, if not next week. But I do think new all-time highs are coming. I think we're going to be filling this gap up here. I really believe that's going to happen. So that's my view for tomorrow. Look for a nice push on SPY. If you want to turn bearish on the 4-hour time frame, you want to see SPY lose 525.5. If we lose that, we could be dipping back down to 523.5. I don't really favor that we're going to be dropping below 525 and start sinking. I favor more that we're going to continue to push towards 530. I want to be very, very honest about that nonetheless. For Nvda, if we were to lose, hypothetically, if we lose 1093 and start sinking a little bit lower than that, it is possible we dip all the way down to 1080. Then we come back down to where this gap fill was at 1069. I personally don't favor that if we were to lose that. If we manage to hold above 1093, we will favor bulls. I do see 1125 coming and eventually 1140 plus. What do I think is more likely? I think we're more likely to start pushing higher towards this. We're kind of bouncing off our 20 EMA and starting to push towards 1125. And maybe even 1140 all over again, back to the all-time high. I think that's going to help the QQQ as well. QQQ got a very, very nice looking green bar on the 4-hour time frame. We have 452 as resistance and 450 as support. If we lose 450, we're going to be dipping all the way back down to 448, if not 446. And if we manage to hold above 450 at the very least, I'll be looking for a test of 452, and eventually 453.5 and higher levels. I favor the 4-hour to balance right over here and start hitting these resistance levels and starting to push towards 453.5, if not higher than that. For other tickers out there, we also have Bitcoin. Bitcoin, in my opinion, is showing some potential. We're trying to base right here. That's what I really like about Bitcoin. We're trying to base right here. So I do see potential for a rally during the summer. But the thing is, we're not quite there yet. We're still kind of consolidating within this range. So I think tomorrow Bitcoin's going to test 68,000. It might just continue to shuffle, not do anything too crazy as we're just range bound. But I'm going to be looking for a push for 1,068. We might dip at first to about 67,200, then bounce back up to 68,000, then just continue to shuffle as time goes on. Moving forward, I also want to call out that we also have, let me see, Aapl. I'm going to talk about Tesla right after. Apple's looking more bullish to me. I think the 4-hour is showing 193.5 as our next target, and eventually higher levels as we are showing a nice sign of not only accumulation, but a nice pump structure. So right here, you guys can see this resistance up here is what we're going to likely be testing. I see a pump coming to Aapl all the way back up towards the 195 area. So this looks bullish overall. Tomorrow, I think we're going to be testing 193.5, maybe consolidate a bit, and there is more upside potential later on. How about for Tesla? Tesla wants to push a little higher, but we need to try to break past the 180 area. For more kind of like confirmation about these levels, I would recommend watching my video from the weekend about Tesla. But here's my view of Tesla. It's very simple. Now we're getting some negative news about another lawsuit being filed against Elon Musk. You know, that's not the best of news. Could we dip because of that? It's possible we see Tesla retest like 176 or so. But here's my view. Honestly, guys, Tesla's all over the place right now, going back and forth between supply and demand. We have resistance around this 180 area, and we have support at 173. If we lose 173, we do have a gap to fill up down to 168. If we break past 180, we're going to be looking for a push all the way back up towards 182, if not 185. So those are your levels. Here's my view. Even if we get a little dip on Tesla, hypothetically, right? I'm not saying it will happen, but if we were to dip towards 168 to fill the gap, it doesn't matter because the overall structure is bullish, okay? These gaps will get, if they do get filled, we're going to get bought back up on the dips. And I think we're going to eventually start pushing back up to the 200s, 207 at least. So I expect a rally is the most likely possibility. We will see if we dip first and then get the rally, if we just rally from here. It really depends if we could hold above 180 or not. But that's my simple view, guys. We're eventually going up to the 200s on Tesla. We could dip first and then get the push, or we might not get the dip, depending on how the share price reacts to all this news. But just know that right now, the reason why it's a little tricky for me to give you guys a much shorter term projection is because right now Tesla's kind of like range bound. We've been going back and forth between 180 and 173 for quite some time. So I just have to wait and see which way we break. I personally believe it's going to break out to 200 soon. We'll see if we get one quick dip down to 173 or not, and then continue. As of right now, it looks to me like it might dip a little bit towards like 176, maybe a little lower, then come back up and continue to trade sideways. It is building some nice momentum for a push higher. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. Now, there's also a head and shoulders on Tesla. We'll see if we come down to fill the gap first before we get the bounce. But for now, it just looks like it's range bound, and we'll see which way it breaks. So we just have to wait. Now, I have another big important announcement. NEO absolutely killed it with their deliveries. I told everyone since NEO is at 4.8, I'm expecting big upside on the stock. And I think the stock is about to go parabolic tomorrow. Why? NEO has announced, okay, 20,544 deliveries in May, a 233% increase year over year. Their all time high delivery record has been broken, and they absolutely killed it. So, very, very awesome news for NEO. They crushed it on deliveries. They broke the all time high record for a month. That's very, very bullish news. I think buyers are going to be stepping in. I was expecting at least 17,500 to 18,000 deliveries. We actually did over 20,000. That's absolutely incredible news, and the share price is going to take off to the sixes, in my opinion. So I expect major upside for NEO. I did call this out for many days because I've been screaming to everyone. I think NEO is going to pump, and that's what I see happening for tomorrow. I want to make that very, very clear. Anyways, that is it for the main tickers I typically talk about. I did go a little bit longer for my video when talking about Tesla, but anyways, I'm now just going to focus on the other tickers very briefly. What do I see for Palantir? Palantir is just shuffling between supply and demand. We have support at 21.3. We have resistance at 21.8. We might dip a bit towards this level, but I do see a push coming a little higher. It is forming like a nice bottoming structure right over here. So look for a test of 21.3, then a bounce, and a bounce back up towards 22. For Supermicro. Supermicro has this nice looking bottom right over here around the 762 area. If we hold this support, we're going to be looking for a rebound towards 800. If we lose 762, we're going to be dipping all the way down towards, the lower like 740 area or lower levels. So with us trying to form a bottom, we could try to bounce. So we'll see how things end up going from here. So I'll have to be very, very patient with this moving forward. For Rivian, Rivian now has this resistance around basically this $11 area. If we lose support at 10.6, we have our next support currently all the way down here towards 10. Overall, in my personal opinion, I think that we're trying to kind of uptrend on Rivian. We're trying to break out from this resistance. So we'll see if we continue to push up here or not. But I just want to make it very clear that there is upside potential in Rivian, looking at a much larger inverse head and shoulders like structure. So I favor the upside a bit more. And I think we're going to be pushing towards the 11 plus area and 11.5. For SoFi, SoFi might try to rebound a bit. I'm going to be looking for a test of 7.09. If that breaks, we're going to go even higher. So I anticipate the sevens are coming very, very soon. For the IWM Russell 2000, I think we're going to likely push even higher towards 207. So I do anticipate some upside. Look for a test of 207 tomorrow, if not 208. And we'll see how things go from there. For AMD, we are showing some life. Right now, we're looking for a bullish cross in the PPO. I could be looking for a push towards this 170 area. So I do see some upside potential. So it's looking pretty good to me. And we'll see how things go from there moving forward. For ARM, we're looking a bit more bullish. Going to be looking for a test of 122.5. I do favor upside a bit more. So I find that to be very, very probable. And it's looking pretty good in my personal opinion. For Coinbase had a big drop, guys, after some negative news. So we're still looking a little bit weaker, but I am seeing signs that's trying to base at our 200 EMA 221.5. So it depends if we can get above 227.5 or not. If we fail to do so, we're going to likely retrace back down to 221. If we break past 227.5, we're going to be looking for 232. I have a feeling it might try to break past that, but there's no confirmation yet. So see if Coinbase breaks 227.5. If we do so, we're going to be looking for a push. If not, it is what it is. For Amazon, it is trying to rebound a bit. It depends if it can hold this support or not. We have support currently around 174. If we lose that, we're going to be dipping down to 172.5. If we break past this resistance at 177, I'm going to be looking for a push towards this imbalance at 178. My gut is telling me it's going to be going back up to 178 and eventually 180 for a little bounce, but we'll see just to be safe. For Meta, we're looking a little bit more bullish. It looks to me like it's going to be testing 470 again, 469.43 to 470 to be precise. I think we're trying to get a nice bounce. We have a nice green big bar in the 4-hour, which is kind of turning our PPO. So to me, it looks a little bit more bullish. I think we're going to be looking for 470 tomorrow, if not higher. For Microsoft, Microsoft is trying to rebound. Look for 415.5. If we break through this, we're going to be looking for a bigger push all the way up towards, I would say, closer to 420. If we manage to break 415.5, that is, I have a feeling it's going to break that. So 420 is likely on the table. For Google, in my personal opinion, I just wanted to say that right now, we're actually showing some very, very similar signs. I want to make it very, very clear that things are improving. Give me 1 second, guys. I think my computer froze for a second. Sometimes this happens on TradingView. But if anything, from what I remember, Google is showing some life, and we have to give this, the time it needs. My personal opinion with this potential move that's coming, there's going to be a big improvement. But anyways, let me just reload this page for 1 second. I'm very sorry about that, guys. For other stocks out there, I am seeing, momentum is kind of continuing throughout the markets, and I think that it's going to likely maintain at least these paths that we're seeing. But anyways, going back to Microsoft and the others, I am anticipating some more potential upside. I personally think that the market has been basically tricking a lot of people out there who believe we're going to continue to fall. A lot of people turn into mega shorts very, very quickly. But I personally have a very, very different view of that. I think that's, these stocks like Microsoft and Google will try to show their signs of rebounds. So sorry about that little delay, guys. I am very sorry about that. We're going to likely push all the way up to about 175, where our 50 EMA happens to be on the 4-hour time frame on Google. So that's going to likely continue to help us. For GameStop, I wouldn't be surprised if this tries to rebound just a little bit. There was some weakness on the chart, but what I'm liking is the fact that we're trying to hold some key supports. If we hold 22.5, then we're going to continue to push up towards, let me just double check this, 25.45. So I do favor that a little bit more for more upside. For AMC, AMC is actually looking for, in my opinion, a potential test of about 4.5. So a little rebound is very possible. I think AMC could try to rebound a bit, so we'll see how things go from there. For DJT, it's looking a little bit weak right now. If we get a rejection and we don't hold above 48.6, we're going to be dipping all the way down to 46 all over again. If we manage to break past it, we're going to bounce. Right now, it's looking kind of weak, so it might be a little dip coming to about 47 before it tries to bounce again. For the VIX, we have a big gap to fill below. We're looking bearish. This favors upside for the markets. Nothing is changing with that. I already kind of went over this. The 10-year treasury yield is dipping a bit. If we lose 4.493, that's our 50 EMA, we're going to be dipping lower, so that could look and form some more downside. And for the dollar index, right now we're just kind of trading within a range. We could reject here and start dipping all the way down towards 104.36. So we'll just have to see how things end up going. But the dollar is showing some weakness. This is once again favoring the upside for the markets. So anyways, guys, a play I'm going to be watching is NEO. I expect upside is a very probable possibility for tomorrow. Looking at the current technicals, I'm very excited that they actually broke their deliveries record. And for SPY, I do see a gap fill coming all the way up towards this area. So it's looking a lot better in my personal opinion. All right. So thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular rest of your Sunday. I'll try to get this video out as fast as possible. I just want to say I really appreciate every single one of you. So have a very, very relaxing rest of the day. Take care, guys. Take a break if you guys don't have work and such. And if you guys are able to do so, I just want the best for everyone that's out there. So take it easy, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow before the market opens. And remember to always be the best versions of yourselves and never, ever give up on your dreams. I really appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys very soon, and peace out.